Hi, welcome. My name is McCluskey's. And on this video, I'm going to be providing an overview of what makes this relational system very special. Okay, and what makes it special is its ability to break it all down. Okay, so when people are trying to figure out right out of the starting gate what is the best approach when it comes to fixing your dog, what this system of training shows is that how a dog's decision-making process is influenced comes through at the relational level. It's influenced at the relational level. That's the primary source of how to change behavior. Okay, so these other roadmaps I'm going to show you here. It's going to help provide a little bit of insight that I'm not just kind of talking out of the side of my hat, so to speak. That I actually know what I'm talking about. Okay, so when people get sidetracked and they're trying to figure out, why, what went wrong, why is it that we went through training and invested, time and money, but we got home with our dogs and nothing truly was fixed. Well, likely what's happened is you approach training not as an intervention. Okay, you approach training from the perspective of feeling good about it, which means that you adopt it using treats and this learning script. But what I'm going to show you is that everything filters through, everything comes through the relational influence. Okay, it comes at the relational level, it comes through that. Everything's filtered through that. So there's nothing left untouched through it. So the glue that holds it all together is relational glue. Okay, so when people fail or get deceived by appearances by way of physical response, it's because relational change has not really happened at all at the level required. It may have happened a little bit, but even the appearance of things can be very deceiving. So I'm going to show you how a dog's mind works. Okay, how it can kind of jump over you, so to speak, to get to what they want. So certain things will actually motivate the dog to do the response, which will follow along the learning script. But it's appearances, okay? It's not really anything deeper going on. Their mind is moving and jumping, but they're diminishing you. You're kind of fading out, okay? They just want to get to the other side a lot of times. And that's why the script will look kind of good from a certain level, but they're not truly within the follower script, okay? So what makes my system different is that I'm working to bring their decision-making process within that script, okay, at the relational level, which is in harmony with nature, okay, which is going to mean that the glue can all hold together. So you take your dog out for a walk or whatever's going on, you can be confident knowing that you're not going to be dealing with unwanted situations, behavior, your dog's mind pushing beyond that script. But I'm going to show you here just how this all kind of pieces together. I'm going to give you kind of a quick overview. So anyway, working off a relational model. Okay, now what I talk about is motivating, influencing agents. Okay, so certain things can motivate the dog's decision-making process, can direct it. Okay, but this is important. It doesn't always mean that that agent or that influencing, that whatever is influencing the dog's decision-making process actually represents changes happening, okay? It can still mean the dog's holding on to power in the relationship, even though you're starting off using certain things that the dog likes. You have to be very careful to understand that what really is motivating change is you, okay, your personality type, because dogs share a very deep and special connection with us through nature that goes beyond appearances. Okay, and I lay this all out here. Okay, I could break it all down because everything here. So you look at a motivating agent, you start off using treats or whatever you want to use. But the further you take it away from what it is at the intervention level, okay, the further away you're risking, being deceived. Okay, so what we have to do is really make sure that we're seeing dogs at this level, so that we can make sure change is going to happen. So here I put down here motivating, influencing agents, okay? Because usually people start off using something, right, or some script, all right, to work off of, some roadmap they're following. But here, what I break it down is, okay, you can start off using whatever influencing agents, but if you ignore the person and the personality type and what that represents through leadership, you already could be in big serious trouble because they're needing help because they're already in a deficit. Okay, they already need relational change. That's the whole point, and that's what really challenges people, because how I coach training is I show exactly what behavior issues represent. It represents is already an ongoing misalignment taking place. And that dog's decision-making process is pushing beyond the boundaries of the follower's script already. So you're already in a bad way. So the problem is, if you start off using something that feels really good, like treats, then it doesn't mean that you're going to create change. Even though it's all going to kind of line up from the response level, it doesn't necessarily mean that the person is changing. Okay, that's the whole point. I break this down. I show how this all connects together. So as the person changes, okay, that's really what is at work when it comes to influencing a dog's decision-making process. So here I put it right here, this is relational influence. So that's what matters, is relation at the relational level. Here, and this is what a lot of these people that promote learning ideology try to do. They try to make it seem like you're making an end run, okay? You're bypassing the dominance issue. But in reality, they don't really know what dominance even means, because they're not recognizing dogs as relational beings. Okay, they're ignoring this part, and the reason they're being deceived is because what's happening is, I'll take it over here to show off this level here. The reason they're being deceived is they're not qualifying, okay, the type of response happening between dogs and owners. So, and here I put a little diagram here to show how a dog's mind will jump. Okay, how this kind of works and how you'll be faded out, so to speak. But because you're kind of still a pivot point, okay, you still control the dog's environment and how they go about and how and their movements. Okay, you can actually become a pivot point, but only in the context of being a toll booth. Okay, so which means that that's why this script is so deceptive. When you use this learning-based script to what's called learning, and even work off of, I put it right in here, conditioning. Okay, it still comes through, still defined, it still funnels through, or filters through at the relational level. Okay, so it's like it's mind and body. No matter what you do, everything comes to that. So people try to define what represents a correction or adversive. What they're doing is, whether they knowingly or unknowingly, they're trying to separate it. Okay, you can't do that. Okay, if I think a certain way, and I'm going to adopt certain ways of doing things, like, I'll move the leash a certain way and everything. But it's really, the leash is just the extension of how I think. You understand? So the leash is going to be moving. That's why people who are working off this learning script, okay, they're trying to give all this ideology all the credit, when really the credit really belongs to the person. Okay, so you can't separate it away from the person. Okay, you can't. Those are relational beings. That's the whole point. But the deception comes in through using certain things. Like I put treats here. You can create bridges through that at the associative level through through repetition. Okay, the dog establishes, hey, get something good to that person. But again, if you go over here again, this whole jumping over thing starts happening, and trainers aren't qualifying what's really going on. Okay, they're just saying, well, it's lining up at the response level. It must mean that relational change is actually moving forward. In a lot of cases, it's not. Okay, because here I go right down. What is the real standard? Okay, what's the real standard? Is it feeling good about training and the response level lining up in class, or is it about diminishment of unwanted behavior? Okay, there's the standard. Okay, people are doing training and they're not really knowing what the end game is. Okay, they're just going through the script of how we interpret behavior as a sit down, come, stay, and all those things. But a lot of times you're just going through the motions. With the relational model, okay, I'm right out of the starting gate. Okay, I'm treating it as an intervention. So I'm working off bringing the dog's decision-making process within the follower script. So what I'm doing is I'm bringing the dog under influence. Okay, but it's not unreasonable influence. This is the thing you get into what defines the difference between relational corrective influence and what really is moving the relationship from point A to point B. Okay, it's about relational change through the type of influence that you're bringing to the table, but what that's doing to not just the physical manifestation of it. Okay, but mind and body is connected. So as you're bringing that type of influence online, it's actually changing how you think. Okay, that's how it all kind of lines up. It's like an echo. Okay, so this is very analytical. When I break it down, like I'm showing what's creating relational change. That's it. But the whole thing here is people are getting totally sidetracked. Okay, they're getting all focused on their ideology, and you're not looking at what the primary influencing agent is at the relational level. Okay, everything else is secondary. But not just secondary. Some things you do, and this is an important point, are not helpful. So if you're in need of relational change, and you have to become a stronger leader, okay, and then the specifics of that, working off what's actually creating relational change within the model, the type of influence that you're engaged in doing, how you're going about creating change itself. If you're working off things which are trying to make an end run, appearing like you're getting out from underneath this whole dominance issue, which is totally being misrepresented, you're being deceived. Okay, a lot of people are. This system is probably one of the only systems that can really break it down at this level to show how this works, how this fade out and this jumping and being objectified works, even in the context of, even go so far in as to say through power, at the instinctive level through prey drive. Okay, and you want to know why dogs won't say release the bite. It's because that level hasn't been achieved. That dog is still pushing beyond the follower script. Okay, so everything has to be reconciled properly. It's got to be within that script at a really high level. Okay, especially when you start to work off the dog expressing certain states of mind, such as prey drive. Okay, because everything is defined through that script, so it's coming through me. Okay, the dog is doing bite work, it's coming through me. So it's conditional state. That's why the commands themselves, to get the strength to the commands, it's defined this way. You have to build the foundation first, relationally. Okay, so I talk about why it is that certain people, have a natural alignment to policing. It's because that profession attracts that strong personality type, and the dogs are basically, relational change is happening before formal training is even taking place. So learning itself, okay, is within the context of the relational model, is basically just connecting dots at the end. Okay, once the relational change is happening, you already have influence over the direction of the dog's decision-making process, and then all you're doing is connecting the dots to where you want the dog's mind to go. And so when you get into task-related type things, that's what you're doing. But this is important because the whole thing is why people are contaminating right from the start, contaminating the change issue. Okay, they're working off this idea, so focused on the ideology that they're failing to see the relational level of this, how the relationship, how you think, how it defines itself through this. So this script, okay, how this all works, you can see it's a lot of deception involved. But you have to be able to discern it. The ability to discern what's happening comes through embracing dogs as the relational beings they are. And it really comes through really challenging some of these issues. And this is the reason why so many dogs are actually destroyed or medicated when they don't conform to the learning script. Okay, it's not and the blame gets shoved off onto the shoulders of the dog or the person. The timing's not right. You don't hear that time. Your timing's off. No, it's not that. It's the ideology. Okay, because right out of the starting gate, they failed to consider the fact of how a dog's decision-making process is influenced right out of the starting gate. Okay, so it's all the script and how it kind of holds together. You have to break it down. Okay, so it's not saying that change won't happen within any given model, because it will. But the problem is, what does when you take it right to this anti-dominance dogs can learn script. Okay, that it takes it the furthest point. If you look at the points here, probably shows up training is really an intervention, and there's a spectrum of change here. You bring it way over here to ignoring dogs as relational beings, and the whole issue context of what is dominance. Well, its strength is defined at the relational level, strength and weakness of your personality. Then what you're doing is you're taking it from the furthest point away from the intervention level you're putting yourself at a very high risk of being deceived, okay, because it'll look like things are lining up and they're not, okay, through treats, to do clickers, to build bridges that way, through this learning script, and even in the context of control. I mean, you're making the dog wait, okay, because basically you're trying to do a dance here, you're making the dog wait because what? Your ideology, you don't want to, you know, oh, I don't want to use it. You're making the dog wait, the dog's mind's jumping over you, okay, they'll wait, okay, but you're not creating anything, okay, they're still objectifying you, okay, so you have to look at the motives that underpin response. So anyway, I just want to give you an overview. There's some dynamics here that, again, it's about understanding dogs at this level. It comes to being objective and applying critical thinking. But you can see here, there's some stuff here. Okay, there's stuff to work through, there's things to it, but you have to be able to put things in context, relational context. So anyway, thanks for watching. I hope this provides a little bit of insight, just so people understand that you know, there's things that you have to be able to step back away from it to really see what is really at work when it comes to the real standard. Okay, the real standard. What is it? It's diminishment of unwanted behavior. I mean, that's the happy part. Okay, that's the part where, you know, you get your needs met. Okay, your dog gets their nature needs met. It takes the stress off their shoulders, and everybody's happy. But because the follower role for the dog is a happy role. So don't listen to the people trying to package this up a certain way. Understand that there's a lot of things that can really take your legs out here, because there's certain relational dynamics here playing off each other, and you have to understand how this all pieces together, which this system can do. Okay, I developed it. It came off the relationship with my first police dog many years ago. It's understanding dogs at that relational level. It's being all in that way. Okay, many people are working off these ideologies. I mean, they're just accepting things from what they appear to be. And nature doesn't work like that. Nature reveals itself fully, but you have to be all in. You have to really be able to understand how the dog and human dynamic plays out that way. So anyway, thanks very much for watching.